Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Woman podcast. I am your host, Shakira Gardner, and I am so excited that you are here again with me. As I say every episode, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all returning listeners. Thank you for those who may have just found your way here. Thank you so much, and I pray that something that is said, something that is shared or spoken about today will inspire you, encourage you, and empower you to become the best versions of yourselves. And I am so excited today because I get to announce Becoming Woman 2024. Ooh, all of the good things. I am. So you hear drums, whistles, all of that is going on right now. Imagine it. So I am so excited. That is November the 9th, 2024, here in Birmingham, Alabama. If you happen to be listening locally or in a surrounding city, you are invited to join us. If you're watching on YouTube first, go ahead and subscribe, comment, share, like, so that YouTube know that you are enjoying this content, and it helps push out what we're doing so that we can get this information out to other people. So go ahead and register now. If you're watching on YouTube, you should see a QR code right about here, somewhere here. And if you are listening or watching, you can join at Eventbrite. Register at Eventbrite, Becoming Woman. You can also register at allthingskg.com/becoming woman. I would love to have you in the building. God has given me an amazing word to share, and I'm so excited as he continues to just dissect what he has for his women today in this season. I'm so excited to share that. And also, if you are local, I want to give honor, amen, to my leaders, Apostle Samuel and Pastor Emiko Smith. You can join us if you're here in the Birmingham area every Tuesday at 6 p.m., every Saturday at 9 a.m., every Sunday at 9, every Sunday at 10. You are invited to join us at our services. And so we have an experience with God every time we meet. So you will not be disappointed. Today I want to get straight into it because I don't want to be long, but I'm just so excited to kind of share the background of Becoming Woman and why we continue to do what God has called us to do for so long. This will be our 9th year hosting Becoming Woman 2020, Becoming Woman, and it started in my basement here in my home, in my basement with some of my girlfriends, my sisters. And it has just transformed into a movement. And so today we're just going to have a conversation about what that looks like, about what the Becoming Woman experience is, and kind of give you some peace in that process, because sometimes we can make the becoming process more challenging than it has to be, more difficult than it has to be. Don't get me wrong, like it does come with its challenges and its transformations, which is a large part of Becoming Woman 2024. God wants to give us some special attention because we have been stagnant for too long, a lot of us. And so God desires to see forward growth. He desires to see forward movement and the production of fruit that he's placed down on the inside of us. God has planted seeds down on the inside of us, and he wants to see that seed come forth. He wants to see that those seeds produce and turn into fruit so that we can continue to be a blessing to those that are connected to us. So as I stated, Becoming Woman started in my basement in 16, 17, I'm not really sure of the year. And at a time where I was going through and I think it's so important that we understand that the becoming process doesn't exclude the process of life. You are becoming in the midst of you still navigating life. The genesis of my relationship, now my marriage, but the genesis of my relationship started rocky. And you're dealing with life while also feeling this nudge from God for more, and you're trying to navigate what does that look like? How does it look? How am I supposed to heal through this and go through this, and also step into this part that God is calling me to, which I don't really understand. I've never seen anybody do it, but I'm just feeling this nudge to share on a larger level what God is doing in our lives. And so that's kind of where Becoming Woman started. I didn't know exactly what that would look like, or that it would become what it is becoming now. I just knew that I was struggling through different things in my life, and I wanted an outlet. I wanted to encourage and share with other women what that looked like, and how to continue to move forward while you're going through. Because a lot of times when we're going through things, we want to hide. We want to, man, I wanted to hide. I wanted to hide. I wanted to tuck my tail. And even now I get a little full about it, because I can remember just feeling so alone, feeling so confused, and still trying to navigate, still trying to serve in ministry, still trying to show up as the best version of yourself while still dealing with life. And so through that, God birthed Becoming Woman. And again, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that meant. It was just God giving me an outlet and allowing me the opportunity to share with other women what it looks like to go through and come out on the other side. Like I said, in my marriage, we've been married, Lord, 12, 13 years now. But at the beginning, like it started challenging. It was difficult. It was things that you go through in a relationship that no one wants to go through. And we'll talk about that maybe in a later episode, as God gives the permission to share more. But man, I can remember just feeling so confused and so like, what is this? Like, how am I supposed to navigate this and still serve and still sing and still worship and do all these things? And I just wanted to hide. So I want to encourage you today not to hide. I want to encourage you to embrace your becoming process, your becoming season. And it's a continuous journey. Becoming is not just reaching a final destination. We're continuously being renewed in our mind. We're continuously being transformed into the best versions that God will have us to be in our lives. And so I want to encourage you that don't give up, don't get discouraged in your becoming journey. Don't give in. Don't feel like, man, this isn't for me, because I felt like that. I felt like it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this challenging. Like, well, how am I? Like, how do I continue to do what I'm doing and heal and be and walk in peace and still be joyful and all of these things? And so what God want me to share today is, like I said, we're just talking, and it's like y'all are sitting in this room with me. The reality of what it looks like when God is calling us, not just necessarily to ministry or to anything, these grand things that we may attach that to, but when he's calling us out of ourselves, when he's calling us to a different place, when he's calling us to a higher version of ourselves, a better version of ourselves, a different version of ourselves, it's not always pretty. And in that process, we want to kind of go like a bear, go into hibernation and like, let me do all this behind the scenes, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be this. No, a lot of time God is doing this stuff in plain sight to everyone that's around you, in plain sight to those that are criticizing you, that are judging you, that are calling you crazy, that are calling you stupid, that are like, listen, that are judging your life based off of where God is taking you. And if we are not careful in that, we won't allow God to take us through that breaking. We won't allow God to take us through that making, because we want to tuck. I want to encourage you, there are seasons where God will kind of pull us back and he'll have us in seclusion, but a lot of times that breaking, that making, that shaking that he does in our lives is done in the open. You think about King David. King David was being made into a great king, into a great leader right before the eyes of those that the Israelites and those that were around. He couldn't go into hiding. Like, he had to flee Saul. He had to fight for his life. He had to lead. He had to do all these things in plain sight. So I want to encourage you today, like, God is calling you to become in plain sight. We can't hide the realities of our life. We can't hide what God is calling us to walk through and grow through and mature through, because it happens in plain sight. that, wow, like that's revelation, right? Even right now, because I didn't have any like particular notes. I just wanted to give you all the background of what Becoming Woman is. Is so much bigger than, you know, a podcast. It's so much bigger than just, you know, what we would consider like something that's grand or so big. Like, it is literally the making of your life. It is literally the transformation of our lives, and how God can get the glory out of our mistakes, how God can get the glory out of our ugly moments, how God can get the glory out of those situations and circumstances that we're like, Lord, how did I get here? And so the basis for Becoming Woman 2024, and just kind of tying in today's podcast, is God's desire for us to grow, God's desire for us to be fruitful, God's desire for us to show forward movement in our lives and who He's called us to be. And on the prior episode, you know, I was talking about this plant, my money tree, that is, man, y'all, if you're following me on any other social media network, I'm going to be sure to post the picture of my money tree at the beginning of this season and where it is now. It is crazy. It is crazy to see the growth. It is crazy to see the fullness of this tree that has transformed right before my eyes, just because it's in the right soil, just because it's in the right situations, and it's in the right conditions for growth. It's in the right conditions to see multiplication with this plant. And so this is where we are. Like, God desires for us to be fruitful and to multiply, like in our purpose, in our destiny, in our lives, in our spirits, in our hearts, in our minds. Like, God desires for us to truly, He desires for us to truly bring forth the fruit that He's placed on the inside of us. And I do have something that, as I was kind of setting up, God wanted me to share. God is waiting on us to partner with seeds He's planted in us. God is waiting on us to partner with seeds He's planted and placed in us. What that means is that God has placed seeds down on the inside of us, that He is waiting on maturity, that He is waiting, that when He comes back, He's waiting to see something that He's placed down in us. He's waiting to see the evidence of that fruit. He's waiting to see the evidence of what He's placed on the inside of us. He's waiting to see the manifestation of what He's placed on the inside of us. So this is why the Becoming Woman journey is so important. The becoming journey is so important because God is waiting to see the thing that He's placed on the inside of us. He's waiting on that to become what He's placed in us to be. So if He's placed peace, He's waiting for that to become in us. If He's placed joy, He's waiting for that to be. He's waiting to see what He's placed down on the inside of us. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of His return is drawing near. So when I read that, it's just God letting us know that He's placed something on the inside of us so that we can encourage and motivate others. And so if we're still in that infancy phase of what God has placed on the inside of us, if we're failing to bring forth the fruit that we need to share with other people, then when He comes back to do an assessment of what He's placed on the inside of us, to see have we grown, to see if we've developed, to see if we have transformed. He's waiting to see these things. He's waiting to see what He's placed on the inside of us come to maturity. And what happens, just like He did in the fig tree, if I come to this tree and the tree is not bearing what I know I've purposed and placed for it to be, then I need to cut it off. Then there's something that I need to do that requires pruning, that requires a cutting away. There's something that I need to tend to. There's some special attention that I need to give to this thing because it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's not growing. It's not developing. It's not maturing. And I know it's not because I don't see anything happening here. So that is just a small nugget. I don't want to get too excited and share prematurely what God has given to share for Becoming Woman 24. But it's so important, y'all, not to embrace it. And it's not cute. It's not this man. If I think back to the beginning stages, even now, like even though I'm not at the beginning stages where I was when I first started truly walking this thing out, walking with God, and what that looks like, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the hard times, the moments where you just want to hide. When I think about where I am now, there is still so much to learn. So it's not that I've arrived. I count myself to have not apprehended, but I do this one thing: I press toward the mark of the call of Jesus Christ in me, that he's placed on the inside of me. So embrace your becoming in this season. Embrace what God is desiring to do and to show you. And if you've been having a challenging moment, if you are desiring, like, sis, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know what that looks like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, then I invite you to continue to just connect with what we're doing here on the platform. Be in the room on November the 9th, so that God can just continue to unpack and impact your life. There's some things that you may need to unpack. There's some things that you may need to lay down and set aside so that you can truly partner with what God has called you to do. Like I said, don't hide in this season. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you don't want other people looking at you. I know, like, you don't want what comes with that. God is going to do that thing openly. God is going to transform you right before your eyes and right before the eyes of those that may be observing your life, whether good or bad. A lot of times people are observing our life not because they're rooting for us, but they're trying to see how she gonna come out of that, or how he gonna come out of that, or let me see if they gonna, like, whatever the case may be. God wants to do it openly, not for us, but for his glory. Because we can't be a witness of the goodness of God and how he can transform your life and transform your heart and your mind if we're hidden. This is why God does it openly. Like, we couldn't testify of David and the many blessings and the many blessings that he obtained and the many battles he won if he hid in those battles. Like, you can't fight a battle if nobody sees you. You get what I'm saying? Like, when he is winning these battles and he's fighting these battles, like, he's in the front line. Like, he's fighting. When he first started fighting his battles, like, he was fighting on behalf of the king. Like, that was his assignment. So you can't hide as God is transforming you. You can't try to get away from it. It just delays the process. Yeah. So I hope something that I said resonated with you today. And I invite you to just lean into it. My daughter had her birthday last week, and we went skating. And I can remember the first time not the first time we went skating, but one of her birthdays. I think we may have gone for a family outing, but my sister, she had failed. Right? And so she hurt herself, but she hurt herself because she didn't lean into the fall. A lot of times we try to prevent ourselves from falling. We trying to do all these things to catch ourselves so that, no, she hurt herself more because she resisted the fall. Don't resist it. Lean into it. I told her, we joke now, don't fight it. Lean into it, sis. Lean into it and watch God transform your life. Lean into it and watch what you thought may be your detriment, what you thought may be the end. Watch God transform that into something amazing and something as a witness for his glory in your life. Don't fight it. Lean into it. So thank you again so much for joining for this, like, special episode, if you will, of the Becoming Woman podcast. I pray that you would join us again on our next episode. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that link below. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the save the QR code. I have no idea where it's going to be, somewhere here. Go ahead and get that QR code so that you can register. And I think it's going to be an amazing time. God has already started unpacking so much of what he desires for this encounter to be, this night to be, this evening to be, rather. And so again, I'm excited. I'm excited for what God is going to do in the room. I'm excited for what is in store for you as you come into the room. So we're going to be praying now. We're going to begin together. If you're not already also subscribe to the blog, allthingskg.com. I'll be sure to have a little sign up box where you can sign up so that you can stay abreast of everything that's going on. And yeah. So listen, I don't want to hold y'all no longer. Thank you so much for joining again for this episode. I hope to see you again next week, possibly.